Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. In today's video, I'm going to be going over everything you need to know about guinea pig cages. So I'm going to be talking about what kind of cages are on the market, what size cage you need, and different options for doing DIY or building it yourself, and just everything you need to know before you decide to make or purchase your own guinea pig cage. The first thing I'm going to cover is how big your cage needs to be. How many square feet do your guinea pigs need? The answer is, at an absolute minimum, you need at least 8 square feet of a cage. Now, 8 square feet usually works for one single pig or for a pair of females. If you have a pair of males, I would recommend sizing up to about 10 square feet, just because males can be a little bit more territorial, and usually having more space works out better for the bond long term. Now, for a group of guinea pigs, let's say you have 3 females or a herd or a neutered male with a bunch of females. For this, I do about 5 to 8 square feet per pig. So if you have a trio, that would be at least 15 square feet. If you have a herd of 4, that would be 20 square feet, and so on. At least 5 square feet per pig in larger groups, but really I personally try to aim for closer to 6, 7, or 8. The bigger you can give, the better. For male groups, you're gonna wanna really follow that rule of the bigger you can give, the better, because like I said, males can be quite territorial. So if you have a group of males, I would aim for closer to that 6 to 8 foot range. So for 3 males, really try and get 18 square feet, and more is better, especially for large groups of males. But you just want to make sure that they have plenty of space. So I like to follow this rule of 5 square feet per pig for absolute minimum. For groups, it's just a little bit easier to remember than all those charts out there. So just keep that in mind as we're going through the cage options. A lot of the store-bought cages really only work for up to like 2, maybe 3 guinea pigs. If you have a large group, you're really going to want to go the DIY route to save money and just to make it as big as possible. So going into store-bought cages, we're going to talk about pros and cons of purchasing a cage versus making a cage yourself. So obviously pros is that there is no building required, there's no DIY, there's no learning a new skill set, and it's pretty straightforward. You just purchase a cage and then your guinea pigs can go in it. The cons, of course, is that this is often limited on the market. They're often on the smaller side, and also it's not really easy to expand. So for example, let's say you start out with 2 guinea pigs and then down the line you adopt more, which is what happened to me. It makes it a little bit harder to expand when you already have that pre-bought cage. So it's really kind of more limited options. But if you know you're going to be sticking with just a pair of guinea pigs or just a smaller group, and you know that you want something easy, store-bought is definitely the easiest and fastest way to go. It is not always the cheapest way to go. I will say a lot of these store-bought cages can be kind of overpriced for what they are. But if you want something simple, store-bought, there are options out there that will work. So the first cage I'm going to recommend for store-bought is the Midwest guinea pig cage. This is very popular. Lots of people know this as basically your starter guinea pig cage. You can buy this on Amazon. It's about 8 square feet. And they are connectable. That is the one pro to the Midwest. They have these little ramps where if you want to, you can connect multiple Midwest cages together. So this is sort of your only option for store-bought that also has expanding options, but it's not very customizable. Your cage is going to be 2 feet by 4 feet, and that's what you get, and that's how it is. I will also note that the tarp type bottom they use on the Midwest cage is not the easiest to clean. It can stain, and it is waterproof, but it's just not the same material as a plastic or a solid material. The tarp is kind of iffy with the cleaning, and it definitely stains more. But this is going to be your most affordable, base level, popular option for a starter guinea pig cage. There are some off-brand options as well. Amazon Basics makes something very similar to a Midwest, as well as a lot of other random businesses on Amazon make similar 8 square foot cages. So if you're getting your first pair, or you just have a pair, or you want something simple and easy, the Midwest is that. It's simple, it's easy, and it won't take you long to put together at all, and it's going to give you the basis of what you need. Now, the other option I found as a suitable guinea pig cage store-bought is the Fairplast. Now, when you buy the Fairplast, you want to make sure you get the XL rabbit version. I just want to note this cage is not suitable for rabbits. It's way too small. Rabbits should not be in cages, but the XL rabbit cage can work well for guinea pigs. I believe this cage is around 10.5 square feet. I will put it on the screen, but this is a slightly larger cage that will work for store-bought, as well as it's covered. So if you have other animals like cats or dogs, or you just want to make sure your guinea pigs are safe from children or whatever, this is good because it has that wire all the way around, which you're not going to find on the Midwest and you're not going to find on a lot of the DIY cages. And other store-bought options include some cages that you can find at PetSmart that are again marketed for rabbits, but these work best for guinea pigs. Now, the next kind of popular guinea pig cage is called a C&C cage, which stands for cubes and coroplast. There are some small businesses out there that sell like C&C guinea pig cage kits, where basically it comes with everything you would need to put the cage together yourself. So it's kind of like a halfway DIY, I would say, where you're not starting from scratch. You are purchasing something, but you are having to put it together yourself. Now, these can be quite pricey to buy, these pre-made C&C cages. But again, if you're not looking to cut coroplast yourself, which is what I have, the white material in my cages behind me that makes up the floor and the base of the cage, that's called coroplast. And it is not too easy to cut yourself. And if you want to save yourself some time, there's definitely the pre-made C&C route. You can buy these C&C cages from places like Cavi and from the Guinea Pig Cages store. And these come in very customizable. You can get different colored grids. And I think the Guinea Pig Cages store even sells different colors of coroplast, as well as some more custom grids, accessories. And they have a lot of stuff to really make it very personalized and very your own. It just is more expensive to go that way through a company that puts all those materials together for you, cuts the coroplast for you, etc. It's a little bit on the pricier side, but this is a really good way to get that customizable C&C option where you can go bigger. You can get, a 15 square foot cage, 20 square foot cage. You can go really big with this option. It is just going to cost more than doing it DIY. So if you don't want to go the pre-made route with C&C cages, you can go the full DIY option, which is what I did a couple of years ago and what I have had ever since then. You can see behind me, these are my personal DIY C&C guinea pig cages. And like I said, C&C stands for cubes and coroplast. So that's basically your two main materials to build your own DIY cage. The cubes you can get pretty much anywhere. They're like those wire storage cubes. You can get them in 12 inches or in 14 inches. I will link some options below in the description. And then the other part of the cage that you need to make it DIY is the coroplast. This is sort of like a hard plastic material that you would see on like outdoor yard signs and stuff. It's like corrugated plastic is the best way to describe it. And I get my coroplast locally picked up from Home Depot, and I get a huge sheet, 4 foot by 8 foot sheet. I have needed multiple of those to make the larger cages that I have here behind me. So that's the other con. You need to have a large enough car or some sort of vehicle or a friend's vehicle that you can fit this 4 foot by 8 foot sheet of coroplast in. I have a mini SUV and I had to slice up the coroplast and cut it in the parking lot and then shove it in my car. And it's kind of a process and it's a hassle, but it will save you money to do the full DIY C&C cage yourself. Now, I don't personally have a video exactly step-by-step on how to make your own DIY C&C cage. So I will link a video down below by Scotty's Animals where he basically shows you step-by-step what you need and how to make your own DIY C&C cage. I do show it in some of my guinea pig room makeovers and renovations, but I don't go into very much detail. So if you really want to go this route and make the cage yourself, I would recommend watching his video. He will tell you what you need and how to build the cage exactly. This is by far the most affordable option to make your guinea pig cage and also to make it customizable and fit the space you need. For example, if you wanted an L-shaped cage, I have one over here that is way easier to do yourself DIY than to purchase from somewhere, as well as you can make it sort of fit the space you need and you can expand or make it smaller depending on if you adopt more guinea pigs or how your herds and groupings change. Now, the last option I'm going to talk about is something that I don't really have a lot of experience with myself, but that I have seen others do, and that is to go the completely custom route. So this way you're doing a DIY cage, but you're not doing CNC, most of these are made out of materials such as melamine and plexiglass and held together with nails and all sorts of that stuff. So this is really a more advanced option, but if you go this route, you can basically make your cage whatever dimensions you want. You don't have to follow how many inches are your grids. You can just make a cage that works for you, that works for the amount of pigs you have, and that fits your space. So the best example I have seen of this is by Squeak Dreams. Her cage is absolutely beautiful, and she actually just made a brand new one in her new place, and it looks so gorgeous. And the plexiglass in the front is definitely really nice to be able to look in and see your guinea pigs without the grids obstructing your view at all. I did something similar for my hedgehog, but I definitely did not do as good of a job. Mine does not look as neat or as clean, and as someone who doesn't have any experience whatsoever with like woodworking or building things, it was very difficult for me. If you have experience or you know someone who can help you out and you want to take on a project like this to make it completely DIY, it's definitely great. It looks super, super aesthetically appealing. The only downside I would say is once you build this completely custom cage to the size that you want, it's not easily expandable. With CNC, you can add grids, cut a little piece of coroplast, tape it on, and you can sort of make it grow as your guinea pigs grow and you get more, or if you decide to get more in the future. With a DIY cage, you really gotta decide that this is the grouping you want, this is how many guinea pigs you want, and this is the size cage you want. There's not a lot of options for easy expansion after you build it. However, it does look very, very nice. Guinea Pig Box also did something similar. It's got a very similar look with the plexiglass and the wood, and I just love it. It's so clean looking. But after I built my hedgehog's cage, I just knew that I do not have the kind of skills needed or the kind of perseverance to take on a project like this, but it does look very great. So if you're into that and if you want to really go full custom, doing this is a really good idea. There's a lot of videos out there on how people build them. This is a sort of very much so like independent project. Decide how you want to do it versus the CNC. There's a lot of guidelines out there and it's pretty simple. Now next I'm going to talk about not necessarily a cage option, but kind of a cage setup thing, which is how to lift your cages up off the ground. I've gotten quite a few comments about this, and I know people are interested in getting their cages up off the ground and more at like waist height, so it's easier to clean, easier to interact with your pigs, and you can also keep them away from other pets that you might have. So depending on the cage option you went with, there are a few cheap and easy options out there to do this. The first option is to buy these foldable tables from Walmart. I used to have these. I had them for my Midwest cages. Walmart sells 2x4 folding tables, which fits one Midwest cage exactly. Walmart also has tables that are 6 feet by 30 inches, and this is an option for those who have made CNC cages with 14-inch grids. So if you have a cage that is CNC 14-inch grids, 2 grids wide, it will fit width-wise on the Walmart 30-inch wide table. Now, this table is about 6 feet long, so it will fit a 2x5 CNC with 14-inch grids exactly. Like, this is what I did for my cages once I went CNC to get them up off the ground. I just got more Walmart tables. Again, this is pretty affordable, and it's pretty easy to just put your cages on top, measure it out, and make sure that they can fit. The only downside to this is the legs that come down underneath. So you can't really fit guinea pigs as well underneath if you're trying to do a stacked cage. The Walmart tables can make that a little bit difficult because of the placement of the legs. You can't fit the same dimensions underneath that you can fit on top. If you're really looking to fully maximize your space to do both guinea pigs on the bottom and on top, or you just want something different from a table that's a little more customizable, you can do it with the CNC grids. So that's what I have here behind me. I have my guinea pig cages using stacked CNC grids, which means the base that they are on top of is all made of CNC grids. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that everything is zip tied. Zip tie your cage so much. Zip tie every intersection. Just make sure it's very, very sturdy, because these grids cannot be trusted to just stay snapped into place with the connectors. You have to use zip ties, and you have to use a lot of them. I have seen instances of people's stacked CNC cages collapsing when they don't use enough zip ties, or it's not sturdy enough, I also put through wooden beams underneath my C&C cages. So I bought long wooden beams from Home Depot and I slid them in, and this way it provides some extra support for the top level and makes the cage all that much sturdier. You really want to make sure you're using a ton of zip ties, guys, if you're going to do a stacked C&C cage. Once you do that, it is safe, it is sturdy, and it will not collapse as long as you use lots of zip ties and you secure it super well. And this way, your cage is the same dimensions on the top as it is on the bottom, and you can fit a lot more guinea pigs this way if you're looking to fit a lot in a small space. Like I had to do for very many years. I had a smaller room, and I chose to do the stack so that I could fit as many of my guinea pigs in as large of cages as possible. And the last option to raise your cages up off the ground is, again, the most DIY option. This is going to be making your own tables. So my friend Allison over at the Tiny Herd has done this with her cages. And what she did was she purchased pieces of melamine, that material that I was talking about before, and then she screwed IKEA table legs into them. And basically this way you can make your table whatever size you want. So you can get a piece of melamine from Home Depot, have them cut it to the exact size you want, and then screw your table legs in. So if your cage is too big or not the right dimensions for a table bought from Walmart or from any tables you can find on the market, this is really your best solution, is to basically make your own table at a pretty affordable price with the table legs and the melamine. It's not too expensive, but it definitely is more expensive than the stacked C&C grids. But if you have a custom cage, obviously you can't stack it on top of C&C grids. So this is sort of another option. I've also seen people stack their custom melamine cages on top of IKEA equipment. So I don't remember the name of this IKEA Calyx maybe, but like the storage cubbies, and basically stacking your custom cage on top of those and building it around those dimensions. That is another option as well. So that is basically everything you need to know about all the kinds of cages on the market, as well as a lot of the options for DIY. As always, there's more DIY options than I even covered in this video. There are so many ways that you can make your own guinea pig cage. But before I let y'all go, I do want to talk about a few things that you really should avoid when shopping for a guinea pig cage. So first of all, I highly recommend avoiding hutches in general. So these are usually made to keep your guinea pigs outside, which I don't recommend for most people because of weather, predators, lots of factors. I just generally think it's better to keep your guinea pigs inside. Of course, I have seen suitable outdoor shed type enclosures where it's a heated and a cooled environment and it's very safe. But in general, I would recommend staying away from outside enclosures. And I would also recommend staying away from hutches. Most hutches are not large enough to house more than 2 guinea pigs, sometimes not even 2. As well as the hutches make it really, really difficult to interact with your guinea pigs because they're fully sealed in with that wire to protect from predators. That means it's very difficult for you to get in and interact with your guinea pig. It makes it really hard. It makes them feel like you're a big predator sort of looming over them when they're in the fully sealed in hutch and you're just a hand reaching in. It can be really hard to bond with them that way. As well as hutches are outrageously expensive for what you get. You don't get that much square footage for what you pay for a hutch. So I recommend just avoiding them in general. The cost and the difficulty interacting with your pigs and the difficulty cleaning, I just, in my opinion, do not think it's worth it to even pursue the hutch route. Now, I also want to say that you should avoid tanks at all costs. Please do not put your guinea pig in a tank. First of all, tanks do not provide enough square footage. In general, I have not seen a tank that is 8 square feet that is regularly sold. I'm sure there are some out there that do meet that minimum, but in general, the tank is probably not going to be big enough, and if it is big enough, it probably costs way too much compared to your other options. And the other main issue is that tanks have very, very bad airflow. Guinea pigs are very messy. They pee a lot, they poop a lot, they make a mess everywhere, and you want to make sure that there is airflow in your cage to keep things aired out and so you don't have any ammonia buildup. If you get a lot of ammonia buildup or smell buildup in your cage, it can cause health issues in your guinea pigs, such as upper respiratory infections and other issues like that. So stay away from tanks. Again, not worth your money, not worth your time, and definitely not worth the potential health issues down the road. Now, the last thing I will say is to stay away from pet store cages. I know I mentioned earlier some cages in this video which you can find at pet stores, but generally when people use the term pet store cages, they're thinking of those super small starter kit cages that were super popular. Luckily, thankfully, pet stores are starting to sell these less and less, but they are still out there being marketed for the perfect starter home or starter kit for your guinea pig. It is not the perfect starter home. It is definitely too small. If it's not at least 8 square feet, do not buy it. A lot of these companies will just say that it's the perfect starter home, and they can say whatever they want to market and try to sell their product, but these are also not worth your money. I've seen cages sell for $60 to $80 at pet stores, and they're not even a full 6 square feet. So please stay away from these, as well as the tanks and as well as the hutches. And I recommend looking into the options that I mentioned in this video for your guinea pig. If you're a first-time guinea pig owner looking for your first guinea pig cage, I hope this was helpful. If you are a current guinea pig owner looking to mix it up, I hope this was helpful too. If y'all have any questions, please leave them down below in the comments. I will have lots of resources linked in the description for the cages I mentioned, as well as supplies for DIY and instruction videos, all of that good stuff. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to see more of my content. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon with another video. Bye!